Welcome to this series of videos on key lessons that I learned that led to my writing my first 4 books on the I Ching. I was brought to the I Ching more or less by accident. Some friends had mentioned it, and when I shared with one of my friends that I had a problem with sleeplessness, she apparently consulted the I Ching about it and called me on the phone and said, "You've got to see what I got on this subject. It might be of help to you." I had previously been rather turned off about the I Ching because I had heard that it was consulted by tossing coins, and so I was not very open. But this time I needed help, and she had been so sincere that I said, "Please do come over." So she brought her book, the Wilhelm edition of the I Ching. When I read her hexagram, it didn't seem to apply to me at all. But I respected her, and I said, well, why don't I try it for myself? So she went through the trouble of teaching me how to consult the I Ching by tossing 3 coins to get each line of the hexagram. And so I threw my first hexagram, and I don't remember what it was, but it spoke to me astonishingly clearly about my problem of sleeplessness. From that time on, I thought I really would like to borrow this book, so she loaned it to me, and I began using the I Ching, and it gave me lessons about various things, but I noticed that I started getting one hexagram over and over, and that hexagram was keeping still, which is number 52, and it speaks of bringing the nerves of the backbone to quiet. I wasn't quite sure what it was getting at. I thought I understood the hexagram, kind of mentally, and so the next day I got it again, and I thought I understood it, but I didn't. The next day I got it again. And each time I thought I understood it, but I realized that I hadn't. And finally, on that 5th day, it occurred to me that it might be talking about my sleeplessness problem, and that I needed to meditate. So I decided that I would meditate. I had no real knowledge of meditation, anybody's technique on it. I knew that you sat down and you contemplated and closed your eyes and thought, and let somehow yourself be guided. And so I practiced in a way sitting in a comfortable position like the Native Americans sat, and I closed my eyes and nothing happened. I did become rather quiet, but that's all that seemed to happen. It was good to become quiet, I decided. But after about 2 weeks, I suddenly had what I now would call a meditation experience. And it was the beginning of that sort of thing happening to me rather often. But at that time, I didn't realize what it was. I simply, all of a sudden, while sitting in meditation, saw my backbone in front of me. And I saw it as one would see it in an anatomy book, with the spinal cord exposed and the nerves going down to the various parts of the body. And as I contemplated this, I noticed that little lights were going up and down the backbone in a kind of fast way. And then I noticed that I had a flashlight in my hand, and I began playing the flashlight on these lights as they went up and down the body. And as I did this, they began to slow down, I noticed, and they slowed down, and they slowed down, until they stopped. I noticed that I felt very at peace, something I hadn't quite felt for a long time. And at this point, I got up and went to sleep because I had started doing this at night. And I had such a sound sleep. Well, in the next days and weeks, I did this every night before going to sleep, and I had no more sleepless problem. And this was wonderful that it had taught me in this way to go to sleep. And then I noticed that I no longer got this hexagram. I started getting others, and in a very short while I noticed that I would wake up and all of my worries would return, and I would be tense and agitated during the day. So I noticed too at that time that I got another hexagram that repeated a couple of times. I didn't need to have it apparently repeated a long time, but it was repeated, and this one was hexagram 44, coming to meet, the first line. And the first line said, it is important to silence the inferior thoughts first thing in the morning before they have a chance to dominate the whole day. And so I realized from this that it was going to be important for me to meditate in the morning as well as in the night, to not allow these agitated voices to take over and rule my day.